Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the show this Monday, September 11th, 2023. Thank you for tuning in. I'm glad to have you guys here. What's going on out there? Well, first off, we're going to take a look at Hurricane Lee. It's the latest, greatest. These are satellite imagery of the hurricane. Now, if you look at the top left-hand corner, you can see the orange-looking model. You can see, looking in near the eye, you can see a big gap developed in here. And I can tell you right now, I'm looking at this hurricane, and I'm seeing an awful lot of wind shear hitting the hurricane. I see this large coma-shaped sprawl of the hurricane itself that's being torn off by the wind shear. And this is what's been inhibiting this hurricane somewhat, but it's still a Category 3. And it's barreling on its course. And its course, now this is the model I typically use right here, most often. And I see there's a couple divergent model paths coming off right now. One of the diverging model paths shows it going more toward New England. This red one that's on the left-hand side. The short one, they've ended it. They've ended the chart of it, but it's heading in up toward New York area. That particular one that didn't exist last night when I watched it. And there's a couple other models that take it to the east, away from land, that popped up last night. But most of the computer models take it right up and have it hitting the northeastern corner of Maine, between Maine and New Brunswick. Somewhere up around Holton, Maine, and then and running through the Bay of Fundy and going across parts of Nova Scotia as well. Most of the hurricane models are showing that. So that's the hurricane. That's what's going on with that. Of course, the National Hurricane Center is saying that the wind speed is going to be down to 80 miles an hour or 90 miles an hour by the time it gets up in the very cold northern waters. But that also means that the wind field will expand greatly, because when a really powerful hurricane like this loses wind speed, the wind field tends to typically expand to a larger wind field. Now, taking a look at this. A military plane is heading to India, I guess making a special trip to pick up stranded Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. A special trip by a whole plane. You know how much jet fuel an airplane like that, a military plane, uses? It's incredible. And you know how much carbon emissions come off of a jet fuel plane like that? I was just thinking now, I mean, this is kind of a joke because I don't know, it would never happen. But if Justin Trudeau were to get on a bicycle and bicycle to the nearest port in India where they're bringing goods back to Canada, and then get on the ship with the cargo and come back that way, it'd take a little bit longer for him to get home. But just think what it would do for his health, his leg muscles and everything, having to bike maybe 400 or 500 miles across India to a port. It would be fantastic for his health, you know. And I mean, while he's gone, I mean, somebody else could probably take over for a little while. Okay, I know they're not going to do anything like that, but I see it as a win-win because it would burn absolutely no carbon emissions. you know, I'm just joking around, but in a way, wouldn't it? These jets and airplanes and everything, they consume unbelievable amounts of fuel. It's unbelievable to run those big jet engines. They can burn like 5 gallons a second. 1 second of jet fuel. Just 1 second. Anyway, Kim Jong-un. Now, here's more lavishness in a big way. Is Kim Jong-un, his train to Russia is a luxurious bulletproof plane. It's a beautiful train, honest to God. See that picture there? That is Kim Jong-un's new submarine that he's launching. And it's well, look, isn't that amazing? Look, Well, anyway, he's heading to Russia and he's going to meet with Putin. I wonder if there's some sort of deals going through where they're going to exchange weapons systems. I'm going to tell you guys, do not underestimate North Korea and their nuclear capability. Years ago, I was reporting on this channel, and he had ICBMs way back then. And what they were developing back when I was reporting like 5 years ago, what they were developing was solid rocket engines in North Korea for ICBMs. And I'm going to tell you what the difference is between a liquid propelled and a solid propelled rocket. Like the solid propelled rockets, they can launch them immediately. Liquid propelled rockets, what they have to do is they have to do a prep. They have to fill the tanks with liquid oxygen and all that kind of stuff. And intelligence on other sides of the world can see them preparing a giant rocket, liquid filled rocket. But the solid propelled rockets, they can just zip, the thing goes up, and then pow, it launches. And it's almost instantaneous because there's nothing to fill, nothing to get ready. It's ready to go already. The solid fuel boosters. But anyway, this train he's got in North Korea is absolutely amazing. It's a bulletproof train. He's painted it green and yellow. Let me see if they got a picture of it here. It's an amazing train. There they are seated on the train. All the dignitaries, including Jong-un himself. And here's the train itself, and it's armored. It's a very special train. He's going to take to Russia. Now, what did I have on this article here? I guess nothing. This right here, I found this story interesting, and it may be a little bit of a warning. You know, we always think spicy foods. We always think, hey, you know, it's a great joke to play on somebody, to maybe put some heavy-duty spice, some 2 million Scoville units into their food and see the reaction when that spice hits them. But you know what? In rare cases, really, really, really hot stuff can be actually deadly. And this is a case right here. It says Health Canada has recalled the Packy spicy chip after a U.S. teen has died. A nice young man. He's died. What happened? Maybe he stopped breathing. Maybe he went into shock. Anyway, they got a picture of him here. You know, he looks healthy enough. He looks like a nice young fella. You know, and he took the chip. So be careful. I guess that thing on the skull and crossbones on there might give and it's in a package that looks like a coffin. I wouldn't touch it. I'll tell you, I get a little bit of stuff like that. If I see a food product and it's got a skull and crossbones on it and it comes in a coffin, no, I ain't gonna eat it. Sorry. Anyway, so that was a tragedy. Now I got something to say. We got a lot of troubles facing us, and what I've noticed is all these troubles are on an exponential, especially the financial troubles. And any one of which these troubles could bring the whole system down to its knees. You know, threats to our very existence. We've got viruses out there that, like bird flu and stuff, that could morph and become some sort of a new pandemic. We've still got the COVID virus that's still mutating, and gosh knows what it could become. That's just the viruses. Now let's switch over and talk about natural things like weather and things like that are out of control and leading someplace, and they're getting worse. For crying out loud, I'm going to be experiencing a hurricane in the next couple days. And then there's more. There's the financial system itself, and there's war. I mean, let's use logic on all this. You know, the war, what's the odds of the war just going away? Just poof, it vanishes. Everybody makes peace, everybody shakes hands, and they go back to the way they were 5 years ago. What's the odds of that happening? And the war is going to get critically dangerous, more than likely, when one side or the other starts to win. Can you imagine what the situation we would be in if Russia starts to win? How that could escalate things out of control? And can you imagine the opposite situation? What if Ukraine starts to win? Are they just going to say, "Oh, happy days, we're not going to take out any vengeance on Russia. Now that we've pushed through Crimea and right to the Russian border, we're going to stop here and we're not going to invade into Russia and stuff." What about that situation? So either way it goes is nasty. But right now, in this period where both sides are kind of stalemated, the world's fairly safe. Where it's going to heat up is when one side starts to win. And always in a war, every war that's ever been fought, it always comes to a certain conclusion. One side starts to lose or the other side starts to lose eventually. And I don't see this war, everybody shaking hands and stuff. I think the odds of that are pretty slim, looking at it in a logical way. I think the odds of it just going away is pretty slim. What about the financial system? What could that do? Well, that could block up everything, and that could be the worst disaster at all. More potent, or just as potent as a nuclear war. So we got the threat of a nuclear war. Say we get by that. Say somehow, some miracle, Russia and NATO and Ukraine, they all continue fighting and fighting and fighting, and nothing comes of it. Well, then we got the financial system that could be just as big a disaster as a nuclear war. And what I'm saying about that is that definitely isn't going to go away, because that is on a it's an exponential function caused by a Ponzi scheme. Ponzi schemes work on exponentials. This is how they work, and it's coming to a conclusion, and there absolutely is no getting out of that. That ain't going away, and that's going to explode. If nothing else explodes, the question is when. So, all of these disasters and all this stuff that's coming at us, these dangers from the sun, dangers from the weather, dangers from the financial system, dangers from the wars, and those are the biggies. Dangers from viruses, dangers left and right. All these dangers is coming at us. It's almost like we're on a ship. We're down in the belly of the ship. You're standing there next to the captain. You look over there and you see in the heart of the ship, you see all these kegs full of black powder. And each one represents one of these things. Like one keg of black powder's got written on it, the world financial system. And the keg of black powder sitting next to it says the war. And the one next to it says the weather. And the one next to it says diseases. And so on. All these kegs of black powder. They're all lit and they all got a fuse on them. So you ask the captain, how long are those fuses going to burn? He says, I don't know. They're all different lengths. One fuse is 3 feet long. One fuse is 2 feet long. One fuse is a foot long. He said, well, can you tell by the lengths how long they're going to burn before they explode? No, I can't, he says, because some fuses burn faster and some fuses burn slower. He says the shorter ones might. He looks over shorter ones. But we better get the hell off of this ship or prepare or something, because when one goes off, the first one goes off, it's going to set off all of the rest. And that's the situation we're facing. When one of these big crises go off, the first one that goes off, maybe it's the financial system, it's going to set off all these other ones along with it. And what I mean by that is we already have these weather disasters. We got a weather bomb coming right up here, or a Category 3 hurricane. That's going to cause a tremendous amount of, probably knock the lights out for a week. But we'll be taken care of, because the system's up and running. And what it does is it repairs itself. It's almost like a person, you know. If a person gets a cut or something, it heals. Because your system's functioning. That's why it heals. And that's what it's like. You get hit by a hurricane. Line workers come in and get the power back restored again. Other people come in and cut the trees down off, right? In a weather crisis. Well, we're getting weather crisis left and right, here, there, and everywhere they're hitting now. I don't care where you are in America, practically. If you've missed the weather crisis in this last year, you've been very lucky. Most of us have been hit by one. Southeastern United States has been hit by, everywhere, been hit. You probably, if you're listening to my audience, you've probably had at least one storm, crazy storm that come out of nowhere, or drought, or heat spell, or you know what I'm talking about. Well, if the system stops functioning, they're not going to be able to take care of the people that are hit by a weather crisis. So see, one disaster overlaps the next disaster. The weather disasters overlap by the financial disaster, and the financial overlaps the war, because when the finances go, when they blow, when that keg blows, it's going to set off the war keg. And the reason why is simple, because the people rally up against the political structure and they say, how are we going to get out of this? We caused all this, and the people are blaming us. They're saying we did it, and they're going to come after us in a minute. We got to cause a diversion. We need a diversion real quick. Oh, what can we do? Oh, I know. We'll rally the troops. So that keg sets off the next keg. And each keg is all these kegs, and the disease keg is set off by the other ones too, because when they go off, then people don't have adequate food and water and sanitation. And next thing you know, things like cholera break out. You know? And then what do they do with the system? If a disease breaks out like that, they lock down and cordon off areas of the system where you can't get out or in. And what do they do in the war situation when it goes off? Well, the first thing they're going to do is do a lockdown. You think the lockdowns in COVID were bad? So all of this is all these kegs with fuses that are lit and burning. We already see them burning. The financial system, we see it in decay. That's the fuses lit and burning. We see the war situation. It ain't going to go away, and it's just going to come to a head there. Fuses lit and burning. And we could have anything. I mean, there's been an awful lot of asteroids lately flying by the Earth. I've never seen anything like it in the last year. So many close calls, close shaves. We had one that passed between the stratosphere, like in the ionosphere or something. It was so close, it just whizzed by us. If it was a bullet, it would have grazed our hair. It comes so close to the Earth there. You know, just this year it happened. It passed so close to the Earth, and I don't know, guys. I don't know how we're going to escape it all, but maybe we will. We're just going to have to wait and see. Because, I mean, I don't want to be an alarmist on here. I don't want to be called an alarmist. But I see all these potential threats, and some of them we're not going to be able to avoid, and how they'll set off the other ones. And probably the worst one of all, the most doomsday one of all, is within the financial system. It's a credit freeze. When everything just basically locks up because it's too big to be handled. And it happens too fast. It's a deleveraging of the system that just shuts everything down. And that would cause almost instantaneous hyperinflation, because to loosen the system back up and get everything running again would require the creation of so many new monetary units that would be unbelievable or unreal. And that would just almost lead us into instant hyperinflation. So the Fed right now, they're holding the line as best they can. Silver price today, it's up 10 cents at $23. Boy, that's a low price for silver considering what everything else is going up to in price. Everything's going up practically 10% daily. Seriously, you go into the store and you look at an item, and maybe yesterday it was $2.95. Today it's 325. Tomorrow would be 375. It's going up that, especially on food items. They're going up that fast. And they're going to be in short supply as well. Cryptocurrency today. Bitcoin is 25,000. Bitcoin can't get its head above water right now. 25,106. It's really having a hard time of it. And so's here's Ethereum at 1559 and XRP's at 47.1 cents. Taking a look at Dow Jones Industrial Average today, and it's up 38 points. This is priced in right now for an absolutely Goldilocks. It's priced in unbelievable. The earnings and everything. It's the whole thing is just compared to what's really going on in the real world. And so anything that would become bad news has been good news, but anything that would really become really bad news again could start something, the ball rolling on something on that, and it could happen really fast. Taking a look at crude oil today is 87.45. It's almost up to $90. Probably a little pullback on crude right now would be very bullish for the price action ultimately. Taking a look at bonds and rates right now, we're taking a look at rising yields. 3 basis points on the 10-year, it's up at 4.28, and the U.S. 30 years at 4.37, and it's up 4 basis points on the day so far. And finishing off with the U.S. dollar index is at 104.53, and so the dollar's maintaining its strength, but it's very slowly falling today somewhat. It's fell a half a penny today. Thank you guys for listening to my show. Like and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys in the next episode, and have a great day. Bye-bye.